Well, I'm Chris Corrigan. I live on Bowen Island, British Columbia, Nuchlelachum in the Squamish language. This framework here is super helpful because it allows us to we use it as a decision making framework to bring in the right processes for the right problems we're facing. And so when we're looking at a complicated problem, like bring the expert in to do it. But when we're looking at something that's complex, bring the community in, get them talking about things, get them into a dialogic practice so that they can create a rigorous portfolio of probes to look at what the new might have to offer. Bring in the margins, bring in stories from people you haven't heard from before. In complexity, diversity is essential. Without diversity, you fail. You will fail badly. You will be in a you will have all kinds of intentional blind spots around you. You won't be able to effectively make change. You won't be acting with as much information as you can. So diversity here is not a nice to have. It's essential for complexity. And what we try and do in complexity is we try and create resilient systems. And this has a lot of tie into trauma-informed practice because resilient systems are systems that survive by being changed. Whereas on the other side, the complicated and clear sides, we try and create robust systems, which are systems that survive by not being changed. And it's really important. We don't want to create human beings that are so rigid that they oppose all change that happens to them. Because robust systems, while they're incredibly stable for long periods of time, when they change catastrophically. They break catastrophically. We often use the image of a seawall and a salt marsh, for example, in terms of like dealing with the ocean. Like a seawall is a robust, strong system. It will keep the sea at bay, but when it fails, everything gets flooded. Whereas a salt marsh, an estuary, manages flooding in a much more resilient way. It's able to absorb large amounts of water when there's flooding happening up in the ocean that protects the foreshore. And at other times it dries out when there's not that much of a threat, and it creates a more stable barrier. But a salt marsh changes and shifts according to what's happening on the land and what's happening into the sea and becomes a resilient system. When we're working in complexity, we're going for resilience. We want people, communities, institutions that survive by being changed. Their core identity, the work that they're doing continues, but they respond to context around them and they're able to adjust as they go. And that makes systems change more manageable, to be honest. It doesn't make it slower necessarily. You can move in a very quick way by being agile and responsive and resilient, but it makes it less hard on clients, less hard on kids, less hard on families if we don't have to blow up an entire system and way of doing things in order to bring something new into being. If we can make the incremental changes by experimenting, learning about what's in the system, and then stabilizing our good findings, that way we can build systems that over time transform and change, but still provide a level of service to clients that doesn't let them down, that doesn't let them fall through the safety net. Which is, I think, really important because many people will experience trauma when systems collapse.